The night air was thick with tension, the kind that clings to your skin and weighs heavy on your chest. The bridge stretched wide across a black, rushing river, its steel framework looming overhead like a cage. For Lieutenant Commander Jack Mercer, the leader of the SEAL team, the bridge was both a lifeline and a death trap. He and his men had been pursued through a crumbling city in Eastern Europe, their extraction route cut off, their comms jammed, and their ammunition running dangerously low. Now, as the moon glinted off the water below, Mercer knew this was where the chase ended. Or so their enemies thought. The SEALs were cornered, but that didn't mean they were finished. Behind Mercer stood his team of 5, each a warrior forged by years of brutal training and combat. Chief Petty Officer Ramirez, the quiet sniper with nerves of steel. Petty Officer Cole, the demolitions expert with a reckless grin that never faded, even under fire. Petty Officer First Class Davis, the medic whose steady hands had saved more lives than any battlefield miracle. And finally, Petty Officer Kane, the youngest, still green in some ways, but toughened by the crucible of fire and bonded to the team like a younger brother. Their mission had been simple at first, retrieve a captured CIA operative from a rogue paramilitary faction, but the extraction had gone south the moment their cover was blown. Now they were hunted prey, and the bridge they stood on was the final chessboard. Enemy trucks screeched to a halt at either end of the span, floodlights bathing the steel beams in harsh white light. Shadows moved, dozens of men armed with rifles, their silhouettes growing larger as they advanced from both directions. The SEALs were outnumbered 20-1, pinned in the middle of a bridge with no cover except the rusting support beams and the night itself. Mercer raised a fist, signaling silence. His team crouched low, weapons ready, hearts pounding. They weren't afraid of dying, they had long since made peace with that possibility. But what mattered now was each other, and the oath they had taken never to leave a man behind. The enemy commander's voice boomed through a megaphone, offering terms of surrender. Drop your weapons, SEALs. You are surrounded. You cannot escape. Surrender, and maybe you live. His words echoed across the river, but they fell on deaf ears. SEALs didn't surrender, not like this, not on a bridge in the dead of night. Mercer exchanged a glance with Ramirez, who gave the faintest nod. A decision was made without words. Then, like a spark in dry brush, chaos erupted. Ramirez dropped the first enemy with a single suppressed shot, the man crumpling silently into the light. Cole hurled a flashbang toward the other end of the bridge, the explosion blinding the advancing force. Mercer barked orders, his voice cutting through the din, push left. Stay tight. The team surged as one, unleashing controlled bursts of gunfire, their formation a fluid dance of cover and fire. Bullets clanged off steel, ricocheting into the night, while the enemy scrambled, disoriented but furious. But the ambush was heavier than expected. More trucks pulled up, reinforcements spilling onto the bridge. The SEALs fell back toward the center, boxed in tighter than before. Davis took a grazing hit to the shoulder but kept moving, his face set in grim determination. Kane's breathing grew ragged as he laid down suppressive fire, his youth colliding with the brutal reality of war. "We're running dry," he shouted, and Mercer knew it was true, their magazines were nearly spent. They couldn't win a war of attrition. They needed an edge. Mercer's eyes darted to the understructure of the bridge, the steel beams, the support cables, the charges Cole always carried. A dangerous plan began to take shape, one that would leave no way back. He pulled Cole aside, speaking fast under fire. "Set the charges on the mid-supports. Controlled detonation. We split the bridge in half." Cole's eyes widened, the reckless grin finally fading. "That means we're trapped too." Mercer didn't flinch. "Better us making the choice than them." Cole nodded once and bolted toward the beams, pulling det cord and plastique from his pack, working with manic speed as bullets whizzed past. Ramirez covered him, dropping enemy after enemy with cold precision, but the tide was relentless. A rocket-propelled grenade screamed down the bridge, detonating in a fireball that sent steel shrapnel tearing through the air. Kane was thrown to the ground, ears ringing, blood streaking his forehead. Davis dragged him back behind cover, patching him even as rounds chipped away the asphalt inches from their heads. "Stay with me, kid," Davis barked, his hands steady despite the chaos. Mercer knew time was running out. He pressed the radio at his chest, hoping against hope that the jamming had broken. Static answered him, until, faintly, a voice crackled through. It was command. Extraction choppers were inbound, but they couldn't land on the bridge, it was too hot. They could hover near the river if the SEALs could get off the span. Mercer looked at the water below, black and churning, the current strong enough to swallow a man whole. Jumping was suicide. But holding the bridge was worse. "Charges are set," Cole shouted, sweat streaming down his dirt-streaked face. Mercer took a breath, then yelled to his men, "On my mark, we're going over the side." Confusion flickered across Kane's eyes, but he trusted his commander. They all did. Mercer triggered the detonator. The world exploded. The center of the bridge erupted in fire and steel, the midsection collapsing into the river with a roar that shook the night. Enemy fighters were hurled into the air, vehicles swallowed by flames, the span ripped apart in a maelstrom of destruction. For a heartbeat, the SEALs were suspended in chaos, then they leapt. Cold water closed over Mercer's head, the river dragging him down with the weight of his gear. He fought upward, lungs burning, breaking the surface to gasp for air. Around him, his men surfaced one by one, battered but alive. Bullets rained into the water as the remaining enemies fired blindly, but the SEALs were already being pulled downstream by the current. Then, like a promise, the thump of helicopter blades cut through the night. Black Hawks roared in low, searchlights piercing the darkness. Ropes dropped, and one by one, the SEALs latched on, hauled upward from the jaws of death. Kane, bloodied but grinning through the pain, was the last to be lifted, his wide eyes meeting Mercer's as the bridge burned behind them. As the helicopters veered away, the ruined bridge glowing like a pyre in the distance, Mercer finally allowed himself to exhale. They had been cornered, outnumbered, and nearly crushed by the weight of impossible odds. But SEALs didn't break on bridges. They burned them, then survived the fall. And as the Black Hawk carried them into the night, Mercer glanced at his men, every one of them alive, every one of them changed. The bridge would haunt them, its fire etched into memory, but it had also forged them even harder, proving once again that when SEALs are cornered, the story is never about defeat, it's about defiance.